Welcome to today's ramble. Today we're going to be talking a bit about finance, and specifically we're going to talk about profit and loss statements, or your P&L. And if you remember in the pillars video, I said you need to know something about finance. You don't need to be a CPA still, but there are some things you do need to learn. So let's talk about your profit and loss statement today. Your profit and loss statement is really what amounts to be a scorecard of a period of time within your business. So you can do a P&L monthly, it could be quarterly, it could be annually, it could really be any number of days throughout the year. And the reality is you actually want to look at it in different segments, right? So looking at it monthly may not be good enough, and looking at it quarterly may be too far apart. So looking at it throughout different points of the year with different time horizons will be helpful to your business. So if you're going to look at this thing on a regular basis, what do you want to look for? So there's a few things that are important to look for. So let's cover those quick. The first thing is going to be revenue. You want to understand your revenue that you're making, so just the money you're bringing in, and ideally in total, but also by line of business, because you want to be able to kind of chunk up the different pieces of your business as you start looking at the data. The second piece is gross margin. So you want to understand your gross margin, again, as a total, but then in those same pieces, because it's important to understand where you're making some profits. And we'll talk more about gross margin later. And you also want to understand the gross margin percentages, right? So if you know the gross margin dollar figures, understanding the percentages, making it relevant to the revenue that you're bringing in tells you whether or not you're making money more or less efficiently. The next one is your below the line expenses. So things like your rent and your insurance and your bookkeeper and some of those other things, right? The stuff that isn't directly related to generating the revenue, that's the important thing to be mindful of as well. Then we're going to talk about EBITDA for a minute. And EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Basically, it's the bottom line profit before your accountant gets a hold of the numbers and makes it so that you're having the lowest amount of tax impact as possible. And so you want to look at EBITDA in two different ways. Similar to gross margin, you want to look at it both by dollars and also percentages, right? Because again, it's entirely possible to make more EBITDA dollars and make them less efficiently. So understanding them in both ways gives you kind of a more holistic view of that overall metric. And so I know I just jumped a number of different terms on you here. I'll make a blog post that goes along with this, and just know that there's a lot of terms in finance you're just going to have to learn over time. Again, this isn't the thing that you're going to learn overnight. Finance is sort of a beast to learn, because most of us never start an MSP to be a finance person, right? That's just not the typical way of getting about it. And so this is just step one in a number of different steps to help you understand more about how to run your business more efficiently. And so the last piece, as it relates to like how to build your P&L or how to pay attention to your P&L, is to visualize the data as much as possible. You want to be able to graph out the data as how things are going, because the idea here is that you want to visualize it as much as you possibly can, because it a lot of times will help you identify where to start looking for the actual issues within your business. And visualizing it isn't very hard. Basically, you take your P&L, you output to a format where you can copy and paste some cells, you make some graphs in Excel, and you're good to go. I've made a lot of these different P&L graphs in my tenure, so look on my blog also for some ideas there as well. And the other piece is, it's okay to not be a financial expert at this stage in the game, really at any stage in the game. The important part is identifying what you do and don't know, and working on improving some of these things, right? Because again, you don't need to be a CPA, but you do need to know some things. So thank you for coming on this ramble with me, and I hope you found some value. I'll see you on the next one.